Hello, and welcome to another episode of
The English Couple.
And today we're back out in the back garden, but this time there is not an axe in sight. Julia's wearing very sexy gloves, and I'm about to put on some sexy gloves. Behind me, as you can see, are a couple of bags.
Big bags.
Big bags. I think these are metre square bags of logs from my log man John. And I've already stacked some of them because I had three bags full. So we thought we'd just, it's a job I've got to do, is to stack some of them. We've got here the cherry tree that very kindly Andy generously said we could have, and he chopped it down and we went and picked it up. And we spoke about that when Julia was singing in the church. We were sitting in the church.
That's
and
right.
Then you were singing later on.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's irrelevant. And
picked it up in two different bouts, didn't you? Anyways.
So, and what are we talking about whilst we do this job?
Talking about technology and the balance between technology and the normal manual way of doing things.
Yeah, the old-fashioned, having a bit of life and like, stacking logs and real life and technology, and how finding that balance, because we do seem to be being pushed rapidly into using technology more and more and more, and losing nature and
landscape and heritage.
Yeah, and way of life, and not being stuck in front of screens all the time or relying on so much tech. So let's get going on this.
Yes. You chuck them towards me and I'll get them stacked.
So I'm going to pass them to you.
Yep.
Oh, sorry.
Or
failed
just chuck
on that
them on
one.
the floor and then I'll pick
And we'll
them up
see
from the floor.
how much work we can do and talk at the same time. Probably very little.
Well, not a lot.
So, yeah, I like having my Essie, and I've said this so many times, my wood-burning stove. I really enjoy that sense. Actually, we could just help ourselves, couldn't we? Then?
Yeah, I think so. I think it'd be quicker.
And I like this whole process of, it gives you something to do as well. It's manual and uses the body, and wood is such a, what would you call it? It's not an ethereal thing, but a
aesthetic.
Well, it's an aesthetic, but I mean it's living. It's earthy, isn't it? It's real. It's nature. It's proper, and I love working with something that's proper rather than.
It's real. Yeah.
Yes, than digital. I just find the whole digital world so devoid of human life.
Yeah.
It's not living.
No,
It's a dead world. Whereas this, although this is dead wood, I grant you that, it was living. It was part of an ecosystem.
It was, and it housed many, many different species.
And I often feel that I've just been born, although we use the technology and it's very useful, I feel I've been born 100 years too late. I would like to have been around. I mean, I know life was tough and everything, but
now it's kind of too easy. It's too easy to not do.
But it's more than that though. It's that feeling of not being connected to the earth. The digital world
Absolutely.
is an ethereal inner space that's not really spiritual, like inner space in your mind, but it's a space that's false, that's not real. It's completely made up. And 100 years ago you had real communities. People got together, they sang, they danced, they interacted.
Just dancing.
And life was precious, and you were more close to life because you could have injuries and problems working on land and on farms and things like that. Whereas we're just so protected, and it's and I don't know if I'm really making any sense, but are you getting what I mean?
I'm getting what you mean.
How do you feel, Julie?
Well, I feel quite the same. I mean, having been born a little bit after you, I experienced slightly more of the digital world and the slightly more convenient world in growing up. So, it's not been as much of a shock as such, but I am a creature of
But you
nature,
like going
really.
out and singing with people in a barn.
Exactly.
So
it's one of the ancient things we've done, not necessarily in a barn,
but
the singing in a group and together, and all those voices coming together and producing one
harmonies
harmony.
and rounds and things like that. And that to me is you can't get that. I mean, you know, you get stereophonic sound and you can listen to all of that, but it's just not. It's not real. That's what I'm trying to get at.
AI can imitate, but
and artificial intelligence might be very clever and might be very useful to solve back-breaking problems that you don't want. But it's,
for example, the big machine that hoists these things over the fence into the garden.
Yeah.
Yeah, we couldn't do without that.
No, but that's mechanical.
Oh yes, true.
You see that?
It's
I
rather
think
than
there's a difference between a mechanics where you can see how something levers against something else and moves. But artificial intelligence, when you get into the realms of digital, it's, I don't know, there's part of it I just think is actually evil. I just think, I find it, now you may say, oh, you're just a dinosaur, it's perfectly all right. My son, my eldest son feels like that I'm a dinosaur. And of course I felt like that with my dad, as he used to regale against technology that he couldn't understand or fathom, or it seemed beyond him. And I'm sure that's the same when threshing machines, you know, came in for the first time, driven by coal. But you could get your head round how that works. You could see the piston, you could understand coal went in, water, it was labour saving, but it got rid of jobs. It's not the getting rid of the jobs bit that worries me, it's the taking over our soul, the soul of life, the essence of what we're here for, the experience of life. That's
definitely. I certainly feel my soul die a little bit more every time I have to go and speak to a blinking little piece of plastic technology to tell it to turn off the lights in my child's bedroom, because A, the remote control's been missing, and B, they've left some sort of timer on their phones, on their apps, so the father or the son.
So just to explain that for people who don't quite know what you're talking about, instead of having light switches, tell us what system that your ex-husband has installed.
I don't know what the system's called.
No, but I mean the principle of it.
Yeah, it's automated. So you've got this little remote control that sticks in the panel on the wall that you can take down and move and lose. So you can turn it on, turn it off, you can dim it, you can, get it to the right level you want.
Comfortable?
Yeah, for a moment. And just resting.
Yeah.
And it's also connected to, my son's phone, his father's phone, and the what is it called? The Alexa thing and the Echo Dots. So,
which is an Amazon thing, isn't it?
Which is an Amazon thing. So if I can't find the remote and the timer has turned the light on in there, I have to go and walk into one of the next rooms to find the Alexa Dot thing and say, turn off his bedroom.
What's wrong?
But I have to say the title that it's called on those apps and stuff. It's thoroughly irritating.
What is wrong with the light switch?
Nothing.
You just
nothing,
press it.
absolutely nothing. Nothing is wrong with it.
Fingerprint technology.
No.
It's human pressing a button technology.
Yeah. I mean, if something's not broken, why fix it?
It seems to me that we've been groomed
to
accept this. People love the idea of, my mobile phone can change the heating of the house. It can turn the cooker on if I want to start dinner, and all of these labour-saving devices. And so what is the labour saving doing? It's saving you time, presumably. What do they do with that time? They just sit in front of their computers or their television for a little bit longer and not actually experience life.
I must admit, there was one occasion when my mum and dad were on a cruise ship, and they were just passing by the area, on the coast where my parents live, and my older brother and his girlfriend were house sitting, cat sitting, I should say. And of course, my dad's there. He got his phone out and he's got the app open and he's turning on and off the light switches or the lights in the lounge. And my brother's sitting there with his girlfriend. What's going on?
Like as if ghosts had infested the house.
It was hilarious. I wasn't there. I wish I'd just been able to see it, but.
Yes, I think it's...
That was funny, but still.
As a practical joke to elicit some
But that's a rather elaborate...
response. Absolutely, I think that's... It's very laudable. But it's the technology, we're moving at the speed of light, really, forced into this technology. We've only really just got used to what a computer can do, and yet we're being moved so quickly. I think of my father, who went through 84 years of life, and when he was born, commercial travel on aeroplanes had just started. You know, the fact that people could buy, even then expensive, a package holiday of sorts and go abroad. Well, perhaps it wasn't even, it was before package holidays. They could charter a flight and buy a seat and go somewhere. I mean, something that had never ever been done. And when he died, of course, we had the internet had come in, and he never really got on with that at all, and I don't blame him really. But so much had happened over his life, technology advances, and you think that when you go back in time, not many changes would happen. It's like father, like son, they would work as whatever it was, maybe a labourer or a farmer or a candlestick maker or a blacksmith, you know. Things were slow. And I think sometimes slow is so much better than this incredibly fast place that we're now living, and that people are more living indoors, not getting outside like we are, and connecting to nature, even if it is just some limbs of a tree being stored up there, surrounded by all sorts of microbes and bugs and a living ecosystem of life, which is all around us. But the digital world is devoid of life. It's dead. It's just ones and zeros and electronics. There's nothing living, breathing and sentient about it.
It's like we're going from living humans to automatrons or what? Well,
they want to put
consumers.
chips.
We're just consumers.
Yeah,
aren't
they
we?
want to put chips into us to make us, you know, like the $6 million man, stronger, faster, quicker, or whatever it was. But is it really just about dumbing us down and eliminating humans? It seems that all the time that we give machines things to do, people become operators or minders of those machines, not creators. You know, somebody can sit down with a piece of wood and whittle a shape, a toy, or a useful device. And there's a sense of achievement in all of that. But now, instead of being skillful with your own hands, a machine does everything for you, and you're just the minder. You turn the machine on and you turn the machine off. And that's our existence seems to slowly and ever more quickly now being unnecessary. And we've kind of forgotten what living is actually about. Can you work a bit harder, please?
It's so difficult to kind of teach my children about the lost connection between us and modern life and well, the way that as a species we've evolved as part of the world, part of nature and part of the environment. And we're now like, it's almost like we're extra to it, aren't we? We're just like placed upon it rather than part of it.
Yeah, and it was never that way. I mean, it was never meant to be that way.
I mean, the worst part is, you know, I'm not exactly, I'm not always a good example either. You know, I rely on my phone to
People
stay in
are
contact.
addicted, that's the trouble.
Yeah, to stay in to call doctors, to stay in contact with the school, to, you know, make sure my son's okay, etc., etc.
But again, if you think back in time, people lived in smaller communities. The doctor lived over there. The school was just over there. People didn't need mobile phones to be in contact with all these people.
You're not talking about 15-minute cities, are you? I'm joking.
No, I'm talking about old communities.
No, I know.
In which, in your community, you had everything at hand. You didn't need these devices to keep talking about. There were only 30 kids in the school.
Yeah.
And one or two school teachers. You knew everybody knew each other by name. I think the 15-minute cities, which might mirror the old days of saying, well, you'll have everything you possibly need. Yeah, but you haven't grown up in that community in the way that people used to grow up in communities with family and extended family, because everybody's all over the bloody place. So you're in with... And people are now in this country have all descended from so many different nationalities that... And a lot of them haven't you know, that overall identity of the country that we once had is atomised. So if you're stuck in a 15-minute city with no neighbours that you understand or that you get along with or have grown up with, it's not so much a community, it's more like a prison. Especially when they're going to limit your ability to go and travel places.
Yeah.
So
It's scary, isn't it?
I can see that they want to mirror that illusion, but I think it's another illusion because they want you stuck inside behind screens all day long.
More compliant that way.
More compliant and eating insects. If I want to eat insects, I can come in here and pick out as many as I blooming well like.
You've got feasts galore here.
So
Whoops.
it's not going to be easy to combat this. This is the biggest problem, is it? Trying to combat this push. I don't know what you guys watching this think, but I mean, we call ourselves the English couple because we're trying to retain a sense of England and Englishness, and we're a couple, and living in a modern society, but in a society, in a fashion that is a little bit old-fashioned in a way, because there's something about that means something to us. But trying to fight that or trying to actually live that way is very difficult because you're feeling you're fighting the battle, like with your son at school in a cashless school.
Trying to swim upstream. We're not, you know, I'm not a natural salmon.
No, no,
If that makes sense.
no.
They
And
swim upstream, don't they?
your gills are a very strange colour.
I'm not sure I like the cut of your gills, mate.
No. So I just find it very confusing that we live in this situation and that we're being pushed, and you feel we're being pushed by people who don't really have our interests at heart. More and more it starts to open up that way, that we're existing but not living.
Our main aim is to try to get back to nature, isn't it, personally? And
not easy because everything's so damn
no,
expensive.
exactly. Like I say, it's like fighting against the tide, isn't it? Or running through treacle.
But the other thing is, it's I think also is just when you try talking to other people about these things, and maybe you are one of those people who find it almost weird that we would have this somewhat backward-looking, or trying to halt the pace of modernity, because I think we're losing so much so quickly that we're not standing there breathing the air, experiencing the life. We're in this mad rush to progress. But I would ask, progress to what? Where are we supposed to be going? What is the end point that we're progressing to? Nobody seems to know, but it doesn't seem any better. In fact, it seems a lot worse than where we have been. It's a bit of a downer on today's show.
Sorry about that. It wasn't meant to be.
No, but it's like, I suppose we're trying to espouse the pleasures of doing just simple jobs.
Yeah.
And not feeling that we have to rely on technology all the time.
Yeah.
You know, just stacking wood is quite fun. Out here it's a bit chilly, it's a bit cold, we've got each other, we're having a conversation, we're doing something, we're using the body, we're breathing, we're sentient beings. I'm doing more than you. You know, it's all good.
Bend over.
No.
Boop.
Ouch.
Where did I get
Anyway,
that from there? How are we doing?
we probably guessed too much. So we'd be interested in your comments. What do you think about it? Do let us know down below.
Down below.
I like that. Do let us know down below. So is that it? Are we done?
I don't know. Are we? Are we done?
I think we're done.
We're done.
What are you doing?
I'm gonna.
Bit of thumb. Oh, you're going to do that for an ending.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So back to nature.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.